Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a review on Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. If you do not know who Paula Hawkins is, her debut thriller was The Girl on the Train, and I was a huge fan of that. I gave that book 5 stars. I really enjoyed her writing style. It was just my cup of tea. The genre of these books are my cup of tea as well. I love psychological thrillers. I love delving into all of that raw emotion of characters and their family dynamics with each other. So, a brief synopsis of this story. This is about a single mother who recently turns up dead in this body of water that this town has dubbed the Drowning Pool. And they have named this body of water the Drowning Pool because several other women in the past have died either by drowning or they have ended up dead in the pool. Single mom turns up dead. Her estranged sister, Jules, has to return to this town that she swore she would never come back to due to childhood trauma and experiences that she had while there as a child. And Nell, the person who has died, also has a daughter, Lena, and Jules is having to look after her. And these characters, there's a slew of characters in this novel. There's more than like 10, I think. In fact, before you even get to chapter 1, there is an outline of the people of the town of Beckford, and it kind of gives a brief explanation as to who they are, because the layout of this story is basically each character gets a chapter of their own. I really liked the uniqueness of each of the characters. They were very well developed in my opinion, and especially in stories like this one where there's a lot of characters that you kind of have to remember throughout the story, it makes it a little bit easier to switch perspectives because you have something that you can attach to each character, such as a physiological effect on someone's body that's being described in the book, or someone who is experiencing and going through a tough time with their memory. They're going through a period of memory loss, and you start to think, is this the first stage of dementia that someone is going through? There's a character in there that people think is a scammer, and she claims to be able to speak to the dead and see things. So there's a lot of interesting people that you get to read about and read from their perspectives as the story pushes forward. I really love her writing style. I am a huge fan of the way that she writes. She really pulls you in. It's easy to read because you're interested, you're captivated, and there's lots of twists and turns. And you know, this is a really good, solid whodunit story. My cup of tea. I love these types of books, and I gave this book a 4 stars on Goodreads simply because I don't think you can give half stars on there. But yeah, it's definitely a 4.5 star for me. There was a lot of time spent leading up to the truth behind the story. A lot of time built on the way things were connected, how the people were connected in the story. And as I began to connect the dots as I was reading along, it kind of reduced the enjoyment factor for me because, again, I'm a person that likes to be tricked when I'm reading. I want to be shocked. I just love the what thrillers do to you. And although I pretty much guessed what was going on, who was behind everything, she nonetheless surprised me at the very end. And that's what I admire in a thriller author, and that's what I love, and I will continue to read books by Paula Hawkins. And yeah, I was pleasantly deceived, and I give this book 4.5 stars. And yep, if you love psychological thrillers, definitely check this one out, as well as The Girl on the Train. There are good stories and there's good writing. If you can combine both of those, you are a good author, in my opinion. The way that this was executed and delivered, I was completely satisfied. The reason why I'm hesitant to give this book a complete 5 stars is because of the number of characters. I found myself having to revert back to the beginning of the story as I'm reading each chapter to kind of remember who's who and how they relate to the characters thus far in the story. And I mean, after a certain point, I didn't have to do that anymore, but it was kind of a slow build up because each character got their own chapter. So there's a lot of characters, hence it was a slow build up. One other thing that I didn't necessarily enjoy, at certain parts in the book, things would happen for seemingly no purpose whatsoever. Like at actually more than one part, 2 characters would kiss and then nothing would come or develop from that. It was just kind of explained away. And then in another part, 2 other characters would randomly kiss, and I wanted to know more about what was going on behind the scenes. And it was just like, kind of leave it up to the reader to guess what was going on. But I felt like that storyline could have been developed a little bit more because I was truly interested in reading more about those 2 people. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I hope you liked my review, and until my next one, don't forget to bookmark Beth. Bye.